Avionics, Part 2. Objectives. After completing this section, you will get familiar with engine indication system, engine instrument markings, and warning, caution, and advisory alerts. Engine indication system. The engine indication system in Garmin G1000 NXI is displayed on the left side of the multifunction display panel and has two different pages. During normal operations, the engine indication system displays critical data and measurements that are related to engine performance, electricity, fuel, and other system parameters. The default page in the engine indication system, EIS, presents the engine load indicator, tachometer, fuel flow indicator, oil temperature indicator, oil pressure indicator, coolant temperature indicator, fuel temperature indicator, and fuel quantity indicator. To change the display of the engine instruments, from the default page to the engine page, the engine soft key must be pressed, or the large FMS knob must be turned to select engine indication system. The engine system page displays fluids, electrical, fuel, and oil information, in addition to engine performance indicators. Note: the presented figures on the previous slides are a general demonstration of a typical G1000 NXI MFD to show the two different display modes. The pictured engine instrument markings may not stringently agree with the current engine limitations of the DA40NG airplane. Note: the fuel calculations on the fuel calculator section do not use the airplane's fuel quantity indicators. The values shown are numbers which are calculated from the last fuel quantity update done by the pilot, and actual fuel flow data. Therefore, the endurance and range data are for information only, and must not be used for flight planning. Engine instrument markings. By looking at all of the two display pages of the engine indication system, the engine performance indicators are always present. These indicators include the engine load expressed in percentage, and the propeller speed in revolutions per minute. The green arc represents the normal operating load range of 0 to 92%. The yellow arc represents the caution range of 92% to 100%. For the Austro engine E4A, the RPM indications are as follows. The green bar represents the normal operating range up to 2100 RPM. The yellow bar represents the caution range of 2100 RPM to 2300 RPM. The red bar represents the prohibited range of above 2300 RPM. The engine indicators on the first page of the EIS include the oil temperature, which has the following markings. The left red bar represents the lower prohibited oil temperature range below -30 degrees Celsius. The left yellow bar represents the lower caution range of -30 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius. The green bar represents the normal operating range of 50 degrees Celsius to 135 degrees Celsius. The right yellow bar represents the upper caution range of 135 degrees Celsius to 140 degrees Celsius. The right red bar represents the upper prohibited range above 140 degrees Celsius. The engine indicators on the first page of the engine indication system also include the oil pressure, which has the following markings. The left red bar represents the lower prohibited oil pressure range below 0.9 bar. The left yellow bar represents the lower caution range of 0.9 bar to 2.5 bar. The green bar represents the normal operating range of 2.5 bar to 6.0 bar. The right yellow bar represents the upper caution range of 6.0 bar to 6.5 bar. The right red bar represents the upper prohibited range above 6.5 bar. The coolant temperature indication is shown below the engine oil pressure indicator and displays the following temperature ranges. The left red bar represents the lower prohibited coolant temperature range below -30 degrees Celsius. The left yellow bar represents the lower caution range of -30 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. The green bar represents the normal operating range of 60 degrees Celsius to 95 degrees Celsius. The right yellow bar represents the upper caution range of 95 degrees Celsius to 105 degrees Celsius. The right red bar represents the upper prohibited range above 105 degrees Celsius. The fuel temperature indicator displays the fuel temperature for each of the two main tanks. Pointers labeled L and R indicate the fuel temperature in left and right tank respectively. The left red bar represents the lower prohibited fuel temperature range below -25 degrees Celsius. The left yellow bar represents the lower caution range of -25 degrees Celsius to -20 degrees Celsius. The green bar represents the normal operating range of -20 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. The right yellow bar represents the upper caution range of 55 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. The right red bar represents the upper prohibited range above 60 degrees Celsius. The fuel quantity indicator displays the fuel quantity in US gallons in each of the two main tanks. Pointers labeled L and R indicate the fuel quantity in left and right tank respectively. The red bar indicates the lower prohibited range below 1 US gallon. The green bar represents the normal operating range of 1 US gallon to 14 US gallons. The engine page on the engine indication system displays different indicators, which include engine performance, oil measurements, fluids temperature, electrical measurements, fuel system, and fuel calculator, in addition to the total service of the airplane. The fuel system section displays the fuel quantity in the two main tanks, expressed in gallons. The fuel temperature in the main tanks is also displayed, and expressed in degrees Celsius. A numerical description of the current fuel flow is presented under this section, and expressed in gallons per hour. Please note that these three indicators are displayed on the default engine page in a slightly different presentation. The fuel calculation section displays the current fuel remaining, in gallons, set and adjusted by the pilot for optimal fuel consumption. The gallons used displays the quantity of fuel used based on the selected fuel flow. The endurance displays the flight time remaining in hours and minutes, based on the calculation of the remaining fuel quantity. The fuel calculation section also displays the aircraft range in nautical miles, based on the calculation of the remaining fuel quantity. The fluids temperature section displays the temperature of two indicators: the coolant temperature and the gearbox temperature, expressed in degrees Celsius. The coolant temperature is also displayed on the engine default page, but with a vertical presentation of the measurements. The total service section displays the airplane's total flight duration, expressed in hours. The counting starts once the airplane becomes airborne. Warning, caution, and advisory alerts. Messages in the Garmin G1000 display appear in the Alerts window, in the lower right corner of the PFD, when the soft K enunciations occur. These enunciations include warning, caution, and advisory. The enunciation window appears to the right of the vertical speed indicator, and displays abbreviated enunciation text for aircraft alerts, allowing the system alerts to be displayed simultaneously. The Garmin G1000 NXI alerting system displays three alert levels, which are warning, caution, and advisory. The warning indicates that immediate attention is required. The caution indicates the presence of abnormal conditions that may require intervention. The advisory provides general information. The warning alert text is shown in red in the annunciation window, and is accompanied by a continuous chime and a flashing warning soft K annunciation. Pressing the warning soft K acknowledges the presence of the warning alert and stops the oral chime. The caution alert text is shown in yellow and is accompanied by a single chime and a flashing caution soft K annunciation. Pressing the caution soft K acknowledges the presence of the caution alert. The advisory alert text is shown in white and is accompanied by a flashing advisory soft K annunciation with no oral tone. Pressing the advisory soft K acknowledges the presence of the advisory alert. This slide explains the warning alerts shown on the G1000NXI that are related to the engine instruments of the DA40NG. The warning alerts are displayed on the annunciation window in red and followed by a continuous oral tone. Click on the alert to read the meaning and cause of the message. This slide explains the caution alerts shown on the G1000NXI that are related to the engine instruments of the DA40NG. The caution alerts are displayed on the annunciation window in yellow and followed by a single oral tone. Click on the alert to read the meaning and cause of the message. This slide explains the advisory alerts shown on the G1000NXI that are related to the engine instruments of the DA40NG. The advisory alerts are displayed on the annunciation window and are white in color. No audio alert is issued for advisory messages. Click on the alert to read the meaning and cause of the message. The marker beacon receiver detects any marker beacon signals within the reception range of the airplane. The marker beacon annunciations are displayed on the PFD to the left of the selected altitude and have 3 markings. The outer marker reception is indicated in blue, the middle marker in amber, and the inner marker in white. The traffic advisory in the DA40NG is displayed symbolically on the PFD and set map, the MFD navigation map page, and other MFD map pages. When traffic is detected, the PFD inset map is enabled, and traffic is displayed with the help of symbols. In addition to a flashing traffic annunciation, that appears to the top left of the attitude indicator for 5 seconds, and remains displayed until no traffic is detected in the area. A single traffic oral alert is heard, unless an optional traffic advisory system is installed. The terrain annunciation appears at the top of the altimeter, only if the DA40NG airplane is equipped with synthetic vision system option. The terrain SVS alerts have caution and warning annunciations, in addition to oral messages that follow. The altitude alerting annunciations provide the pilot with a visual alert concerning approaching the selected altitude. When the airplane passes 1,000 feet to the selected altitude, the selected altitude display changes to a light blue background, with a black text on top and flashes for 5 seconds. When the airplane is within 200 feet from the selected altitude, the display changes to light blue text on a black background and flashes for 5 seconds. If the airplane flies outside the deviation band, plus or minus 200 feet from the selected altitude, after reaching the selected altitude, the display changes to yellow text on a black background and flashes for 5 seconds. Summary. With this section, you got familiar with engine indication system for Garmin G1000NXI, engine instrument markings, and warning, caution, and advisory alerts.